Welcome to Elevink's Monthly Connect. These sessions were created to spark action and connect Elevink's ecosystem. We're joined by a live audience and create an opportunity to ask questions to the expert joining us. We also share opportunities, and we finalize by spending time networking and offering always a giveaway. The topic of today's episode is servant leadership and how to impact your community. For today's session, we're honored to welcome an expert, but not only an expert, but a passionate advocate in this topic, Tamika Lecheé Morales. She is a teacher, an actress, an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and president of the Autism Hero Project, a nonprofit organization after her own heart. CBS, Comcast, Newsmakers, Fox News, Univision, Telemundo are some of the media outlets that have featured this. Firessa, Tamika's commitment to community has also earned her some of the awards that she cherishes the most. As an actress, Tamika is passionate about serving humanity by raising cultural awareness, invoking thought, and raising consciousness in the hearts and minds of audiences. Her acting career became the catalyst for sharing her life stories as a playwright and author. Her latest book, Inclusion, is now available on Amazon, and that is the book that one of you will be getting, a copy autographed by her, that she will be shipping directly to one of the winners. Her stories have also been included in several anthology series like Today's Inspired Latina, Volume 3, Life Stories of Success in the Face of Adversity, and Hispanic Stars Rising, The New Face of Power. Her most recent anthology, For the Love of Autism, will be launching later this month. Yes, I know, so exciting. We're extremely happy. Welcome, Tamika. I know that this month it's very a busy month for you, and we appreciate that you have secured some time to share your passion. We welcome you in this space, and let's get to know you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background, challenges that you have overcome as you were growing up, just so that the audience can get a sense of who you are as a person and as a professional.
Okay, so my name is Tamika Lecheé Morales, and a little bit about me, my background. I have a degree in marketing, business, and finance, and I was the first person to graduate from school in my household. I wasn't raised for several years by my mom, and my father never knew that I existed. I was raised by my grandmother in the projects of New York in Coney Island, to be exact. And so there was at one point, I want to say there was 12 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment in the projects. My grandmother, my aunt, my brother, my uncle, and my aunt's 6 kids, and myself. And so, as you can imagine, it was like always survival mode. But, you know, I would like to say that I persevered, and I just didn't want to be a victim of my circumstances. And so I kind of fought my way out of there. And I was fortunate to be able to, get into a program, truthfully, while I was in high school called the Academy of Finance. And I always say that that was probably one of the things that changed the trajectory of my life. Having that finance background, we got to have an internship on Wall Street when I was 15. And that's when I saw what was available in the world. And if I didn't have that experience, and if I couldn't see it, I don't know if my own kind of trajectory would have been where it is today. And so that's a little bit about my upbringing. I wrote all about it in a play called The New Eurekan. And so it was about to be produced, and then the pandemic hit, and we're not quite where I'd like to be, honestly, in the theater industry right now. So I'm waiting until I feel like theater is really coming back before it goes up and it goes live. But I would say the next thing that really kind of changed things for me was on June 4th, 2015. My youngest son was diagnosed with autism. And, I would lie if I didn't tell you that rocked our world. And that took me immediately into a very, dark and emotional place for nothing more than you just don't know what you don't know. And I think that had I been aware of everything that I see now, hindsight is 2020. and I've been able to see the beauty in his autism. And I realized that the things that I mourned and grieved, although some of those fears are still there, the truth is that there's so much beauty in autism. And he has been my best teacher. I am a school teacher, which I think is ironic, but he has been my number one teacher and my guide. And he has taught me more than I could ever teach him. And so his diagnosis and the therapies and everything that we went through was the genesis behind the Autism Hero Project, which is the 501c3 nonprofit organization that I run today. Our whole vision is to prepare kids with autism for the world and prepare the world for them. And our mission is threefold. I always say it's not enough to, raise awareness if it does not convict someone at the heart to be an agent of change and an agent of inclusion. And so we do that in many different ways. We create inclusive spaces. We partner up with businesses and organizations to provide those spaces. We work with legislation because I think legislation is integral in creating these inclusion spaces. And then I think what makes us the most famous is that we purchase medical insurance for children on the autism spectrum so that they can gain access to the therapies that they need to thrive and strive and kind of unleash their full potential. And in the state where I've relocated to, in Illinois, Medicaid and certain employer-funded insurance policies don't give children access. So we are the financial bridge for those who are uninsured or underinsured, because I don't believe that any child should go without the therapies that they need because of financial barriers.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, for becoming vulnerable and for being so transparent with us, with the audience. And obviously you have been able, like you said, to turn things around for the better, right? And all of us go through life experiencing, some of us challenges that are, impactful in certain ways, but the way that you share your story, where you started from, what you were able to accomplish, and then be hit again with this diagnosis, but at the same time opening a new area that you probably didn't even know that you had, right? Because as I hear you talk and I hear the impact that you're now having in the community with policies at the state level or at the local level to change policies, to be in that bridge and finding financial opportunities and support for individuals that need it the most. Wow, you probably would have not been able to reach all of that and leverage all of those resources had it not been for what your son is teaching you and for advocating for him as a starting point. And as a mother, I know that we do everything. I mean, our children are a priority, right? And for those of us who are immigrants who came to this country or who started in humble beginnings, at the end of the day, what we want is to change the future for them and for the generations to come. So thank you for sharing all of that. And let's pivot a little bit in regards of the skills that are needed or that you consider that are important to have if anyone wants to be a servant leader in the community. The Elevink ecosystem focuses on professional development. We have courses and programming to support individuals from a professional standpoint, but we are a social impact company. So I see that leadership has many different aspects to it, and a community leadership, it's one that we definitely embrace, model, and reinforce. So tell us a little bit about those skills that you consider that are important.
Well, I think the ability to be empathetic and to be able to have compassion and that self-awareness, I think all come together in having this desire to serve your community, no matter what, whether it's your profession, whether it's something that's a personal passion project like the Autism Hero Project is for me. I think it's the desire that you see what's lacking and you see the possibilities and you stop at nothing to serve and to take action. And you do that all for the better of whoever you're serving. You kind of, it helps all of us, but you kind of think less about you and you really think more about others. And I think that's something that's really important because you make this commitment through your actions to, create social impact, to advocate, to fight for what you believe in. And in the end, that kind of has like these ripple effects that ultimately inspire other people through your actions who want to either connect with you or in some way they see the possibilities. Maybe it's something in the way that you made them feel. Maybe you allowed them to be seen or heard and appreciated. And they know that they can have that same impact. And so you're working to elevate others, but you're doing it because it's something that you have a heart for. And you know that at the end of the day, it's something that is so needed and so necessary. And it inspires others to do the same. And collectively, you realize that it gets us that much closer to whatever the end game is that we want to see in the world that is lacking. I think those are some of the, if I had to say adjectives or the qualities that would describe, a servant leader. I almost feel like imposter syndrome when people say, you're such a servant leader, because, I think that's so grandiose, right? When the truth is, I'm just a mother who wanted to create a better world.
Thank you. And I share that philosophy with you in regards of elevating and inspiring. But my goal is always, if I can just inspire one person, that's my goal whenever I'm invited to speak, whenever I'm invited to share my story, whenever there's a time for me, I feel like, well, is my story really that, that important or that different or that, but I always think if I could just inspire one people to do things differently, that's all that it requires. So thank you for sharing that. And I know today...
I always say, Claudia, little by little, a little becomes a lot, because that one person that you've inspired will now go inspire someone else, and they'll go inspire someone else. And that's the beauty, right? That's the domino effect. And it's like that compounding interest, right? So yeah, whether it's one person in a room or whether it's 100 people in a room, I mean, it's really the compounding effect of what we do.
So tell us about your book. Tell us about inclusion, which, like I mentioned, we'll be very excited to give it away. How was that idea born? Tell us more about that. I mean, this is like another baby, right? I mean, a book, it's a baby, it's an idea, and there's a seed. And so tell us more about that.
So I feel fortunate. Jackie Camacho Ruiz I also feel is a huge servant leader, and she's been able to help people elevate their voices in their communities with their own individual passions. And she contacted me one day and she's like, hey, I want to create this Word Power series book. And it's 12 authors, 12 books, 12 words with the ability to impact the world, because we all know that words have power. And so I was like, okay. And I started to think, what are those words that, that come to mind when people think Tamika, like, what is the word that comes to mind? And so I did I actually wrote about this in like the introduction of the book. This is inclusion. Now you know the word, right? But I'll just read it to you because I think this really kind of sums up and answers your question. When I was invited to write the Word Power series, I thought long and hard about what word defines me and what I embody. And I surveyed a few friends to get their thoughts, and the most consistent words I got were raw, passionate, someone who makes others think about how to live and act intentionally. So I started, but I kept getting stuck. As much as I am all of those things, I realized that this book is not about me. It's about impact. What drives me more than ever is the need to know that when I leave this world, that my son will be fine, that he will be treated kindly, respected, and embraced for his differences, that the world will see his strengths and not focus or judge him on how he is different. I wish that everyone could see the world through his eyes. If they did, they wouldn't be so scared of autism. Neurodivergency is here to stay, and it's beautiful. And that's when I realized I wouldn't change Maximilian for the world, but I would change the world for him. But for that, I need you. So welcome to inclusion. So that's what inspired the word.
Thank you for reading from the book directly, because that really answers a question, and it allows us to understand, where you were coming from when the idea was born and when you wrote it, and congratulations.
Thank you. Really, it's love. love is what fueled inclusion. That was the driving force behind writing this book. That's been my driving force for creating the Autism Hero Project and for wanting to change the world. I think at the end of the day, really, it's whatever we love, whatever we're passionate about, that chispa, that it ignites the fire, right? That's where the passion part comes in. But what sustains the fire, what grows the fire, what makes it a wildfire is your love and your commitment to continue that through. And that's what this work is all about.
Yes. And I have to concur with you that Jackie Camacho is definitely a connector. I mean, that's how I met you, because we're book sisters from Today's Inspired Latina and also from the Young Latina Talk. So she's definitely making a difference in the world and making sure
Absolutely.
that we have opportunities and that we can see ourselves as authors, and we can, make that a reality where for some of us thinking about the idea of having our own book, it's almost impossible. She can help us make it happen through all her expertise, her research.
Gives Latinas a voice, a voice to be heard, right? Because it's all great. We all have a voice, but how do we get it on an outlet out there where we can, have our voice heard by masses? And that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
So if there's any advice I can give you guys, which I'm sure that question will probably come, one of them is to make sure that you surround yourself and you connect and you're not afraid to ask for help, and that you see those people who are doing the work that you want to be doing, and you make sure that you watch what they do and you replicate it. Everyone's a copycat. I'm going to tell you right now. There's not that many people that are original, right? What is original is the way you do it, right? It's that uniqueness that you bring to the work. So.
Yes. Well, if you have any questions from the audience, please put them in the chat. But let's, change a little bit of the subject, because again, we are in a professional environment and we deal with professionals. And when I hear that you are a teacher, that you're a writer, that you are the president of a nonprofit organization, how do you make all that happen? How do you time manage yourself? How do you combine your career with your passion, with your obligations, with the things that you're passionate about doing? Tell us a little bit about how can someone that wants to accomplish what you're accomplishing can organize themselves to be successful?
So I'm just going to be as transparent and honest, because that's the only way that I know how to be. Everything I do it because I love it. And that's the God's honest truth, or else I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, because there is no balance. Everybody's like, Tamika, how do you do, I'm an actor, I'm a teacher, I'm a writer, author, I have a family, I have 2 children, I have, countless work, and I'm always helping other book sisters and other friends, help elevate them and get them going as well. And it really just comes out of this abundance mentality that there are so many people who helped me, who gave me a hand, right? And helped to lift me up, that I feel it in my heart that I have to do the same thing for others. And I want to, because when one of us rise, we all rise. And I really believe that. But I also don't sleep. So that's the truth. So if I'm going to keep it real, yo no duermo. I really barely sleep. And that's God's honest truth. My husband of nearly 30, well, we haven't been married for nearly 30 years, but we've been together for 29 years. And he is the one who, he starts at 11 o'clock because he knows it's going to take me 60 to 90 minutes before I shut it down. And he's like, lights, TV, radio, all of it off. And I'm like, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. 5 minutes turns into 1 hour, 1 hour and 15. And at midnight, then he's screaming, go out into the living room if you want to go to work, if you're going to keep working. And I feel so horrible. But I can't turn the brain off. And the truth is, people are always like, how do you find the balance? There is no balance. It's really, my husband always reminds me, time is what you make of it. It's what you make time for, right? And you have to be able, though, to take care of yourself. So I don't like to be an example because I'm a workaholic, but I think the reason why it doesn't bother me is because I love everything that I'm doing. I love acting. I love writing. I love creating. And, I love going into the office to do taxes. That's I started a tax franchise years ago, and I still like that financial outlet because all of it serves back, believe it or not, all of it serves back to the nonprofit. My acting skills, being a storyteller, right? Facts tells, but stories sell. And I don't mean that in like any other content other than when you tell a story, you make this human connection with people and they remember how you made them feel. It's the best way to raise awareness. It's the best way to raise empathy and compassion, to raise the consciousness, of our humanity. And it's the oldest thing in time. Jesus, everything he taught us was through storytelling, right? Through these parables. And so my ability to bring acting into the nonprofit, to be able to know that, and we're turning 5 next month, and it's been on the back of heroes who have been intentional about being the village to this community. None of us got paid for our work in all these years. We have been doing this, and it's all been grassroots. And in 5 years, nearly 5 years, we have nearly funded $200,000 worth of medical insurance policies for children on the autism spectrum just to gain access to the therapies that they need. That could not happen if people weren't touched at the heart. You have 1 in 44 children who are being diagnosed with autism on the daily, like 1 in 20 out of 26 boys compared to 1 in 116 girls. It's not if I ever meet somebody with autism, it's when, because you're going to meet them if you don't already know someone, if you're not already impacted. And our world needs to change. Everyone longs to belong. They want to be treated like everyone else. And we have to create that world for them. Diversity is, like I said, it's here to stay. It ain't going anywhere. And it's so beautiful. Their minds are magnificent. If we can just learn to break down some of these systems that really are working against them instead of working with them, our world would be so much more advanced, so much more in a better place. And that's at the end of the day, the world I'm trying to create. And it's through showing them and telling them so that they can see it for themselves. And that's, if I didn't have a background in acting, if I didn't have a background in writing, if I didn't have a background in doing taxes, because not-for-profits need to do taxes, right? And a lot of the other stuff, I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to create a website until I had to create a website because I didn't have the funds or I didn't want to spend the money. I would rather buy a medical insurance policy, right? And I'm like, okay, let's go to YouTube. Or better yet, let me tap into my friend who creates websites. Let me share my story. It hit her at the heart that she was like, no, I won't charge you. I want to do this for you. I want to be a hero for you because heroes don't need to wear capes, right? They wear high heels, right? And so that's the beauty of the impact you can make when you're able to do that, and you can just share from the heart, and nobody's going to be able to share the story better than you when it's your story. But you hope that it attracts all the right people in your life so that those things that you need, the people will show up for you. But it all starts with you. What are you doing? They have to see that you're doing the work. Right. If you're doing the work, they're going to come and they're going to want to help you.
Yes.
They will follow.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's the power of that ecosystem, right? That everyone has a talent, everyone has a resource, everyone has something that they can offer to the cause. Everybody. And that cause just keeps moving and getting stronger. And
even like bigger. The simplest things. I needed to translate a bunch of applications in Spanish, right? Because it's about how do I meet people where they're at. And I can only do it so fast. My friend, I'm a dual language teacher. I was like, teachers, I need your help. I have to translate all these documents. Can you translate this one? Can you translate this one? Can you translate this one? Don't be afraid to ask either, right? The worst that someone can tell you is no. That's okay.
Right, not right
move
now.
on to the next person, right? So, like literally, I use talk about ecosystem. I tap into everybody. Oh, you do podcasting? Great. Can you help me to raise awareness, right? Do you do technology? I need to do a Zoom live. I do Zoom all day long, but I don't know how to interface it with Facebook. Can you help me out? Like literally, I have no qualms about asking for help.
Well, so that's one tip.
Can I say one other thing, Claudia? Can I say one other thing?
Yeah.
The reason why is I learned early on. In the beginning, I was being shy and I was being, nervous and scared and afraid to say no. And then I realized it's not about me. And I always think about my why. My why keeps me at the center. My mission keeps me at the center, to not be afraid to ask. And I always take myself out the equation. It's not about me.
It's about what you represent and what you're trying to achieve. But this is a great example. The majority of the alumni and our audience are first generation to go to college, and sometimes they're a little bit shy about advocating for themselves, advocating for that promotion at work, advocating for, that extracurricular activity that will help propel their career. But this is a great example how we need to speak up for ourselves. We need to ask for what we need. The worst that could happen is no, not now. Let's talk about it. Give me a proposal. Like there's a conversation that it started, but it applies to any area whenever we need something done, whether it's, right, like you said, like a service to be done to support your efforts. So as we get to the end, let's get to our closing remarks. I wanted to have you tell us 3 to 5 things that anyone that is listening to the podcast could do. Like if they wanted to start somewhere, if they have that passion, what are the things that you recommend? How can anyone that maybe has not been as involved in the community can get started in order to start to have impact in any area that they wish to do so?
So I think the first thing is you have to figure out what it is that you want, right? What is it that drives you? And you don't know until you play around, right? I always say, people are always like, oh, I'm looking for, what's my purpose in life? What's my purpose in life? And I'm like, I hate to break it to you, honey, but the purpose is what you make it. If you're waiting for purpose to come and hit you and say, this is your purpose, and you've been waiting and waiting, that isn't going to happen, because the truth is the purpose is what you make of it. But you won't know what that is until you have a chance to experience different things, right? Unless you know. When you know, right? But you have to go out and try different things. You have to be exposed to a lot of different things. You have to play in different arenas for you to realize, right? What is the thing that hits you at the heart the most? As corny as that saying says, but when you do what you love, it's like you never work a day in your life, right? The truth is you're going to work, but at least it motivates you to get out of bed and to wake up and to get to work and to do the work. You know what I mean? So I would say, obviously, figure out what that is for you. And if you don't know, play around until you figure it out, but don't wait for it to hit you. Purpose is what you make of it. The second thing, I always say, look at the people in your community that are doing, it doesn't have to align with the exact same cause or the same job or the same profession, but who do you admire? Why do you admire them? What are those qualities that they have that make you be like, wow, I want to mimic that person. I want to be like them. Invite them for coffee, invite them to Zoom at this point, whatever you need to do, but make the time to be like, hey, I've been watching you from afar, or I've been watching you up close, and hey, I love what you're doing and you inspire me. I want to be more like you. How can I do this? What are you doing? And make sure you come at them and ask them all the questions, to hold nothing back, but share a little bit about yourself so that they want to be kind of connected as well to, how to best navigate you, right? I would say, I've been saying since the beginning, don't be afraid to ask for help. No one who is at the top has gotten there alone. No one. And make sure that you tap into everybody that you can, and you speak from the heart, and you tell them your why, and you explain it. And then don't forget to show gratitude. Gratitude is everything. That's what keeps people coming back, because they know that you are thankful for what they're doing to invest in you, to pour in you. And so make sure gratitude, it's like I always say, it's like the two hands open, right? My hand is open to receive, and my hand is open so that you can take from me and I can give to you, right? So don't close your hand, because then you're cutting off, those opportunities to either receive or to give thanks. And make sure that you help other people as well. It's like this kind of circle. I can tell you, the nonprofits and the businesses and the partnerships that I invest money in, it's because they invested in me. They believed in me, and you know what? I'm going to show up for them when they need me to, when they want me to. So I think gratitude is a really important thing. And people sometimes jump in blindly because the world does a great job of creating a lot of noise on social media to make you think you just got to jump and all your dreams will come true, but you got to take the risk. You got to just go for it. You got to do it. No. Do your research. People, those are the success stories or the wannabes that are selling it like it's a success story. People are seeing the end game, but they didn't see everything it took, the mountain that you had to climb, the failures. They didn't see that you were in the mud, that you were mopping the floors and scrubbing toilet, whatever that was, right? They didn't see all that. They just see the end result. They didn't see what it took to get there. And that's the part that they're not sharing. Those are the lies that they're not divulging to you. And so I would say you got to do the research. You got to do the work. YouTube it, meet with people, research, go to the library, tap into people who are experts in their field, go to the experts, and don't be afraid to spend money. You know, I'm going to tell you straight out, sometimes you got to spend money to make money. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Something that, you know, my background's in finance. Latino communities, and I'm saying because specifically I am Latina, right? Our parents don't teach us, you know, about finances. They don't teach us how to invest in ourselves. They teach us how to work hard, right? They teach us how to go to school, or some cases, right? But they don't teach us how to invest. And you have to invest in yourself. And if you're not gonna put money on the line for yourself, then why would you expect anybody else to, right? Those are just some golden nuggets that I would say that really is really important. But you got to do the work. You got to do the research. Don't just jump blindly. Sounds beautiful. Sounds good if you win at the end. But I was fortunate that I had many skill sets and talents that helped this not-for-profit thrive as it is right now. And if it wasn't because I had a background in finance, a background in taxes and accounting, if it wasn't that I was a teacher, right? If it wasn't that I was a storyteller and a writer and that I had a really good network, because really that's what it was. And I knew a lot of great people where I did not have the skill set, I had no problem. Acting teaches you rejection all day long. People say no to you all day. Casting agents like, nope, next. So I hated rejection at one point, but I learned that, you know what? Sometimes it's not about you, right? And so I have to be okay with that.
You just have to keep trying. Well, thank you so much for your time. We definitely want to make sure that if people want to follow you, they want to find you somewhere, they want to connect with you, tell us about your social media handles so that people can follow you.
So first and foremost, if you want to follow the Autism Hero Project, I would say we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I even created a TikTok recently. I'm on all that social media except for Snapchat. I just can't manage another social media outlet. So that's for the Autism Hero Project. Me, myself, I am on Instagram under _Nuyorican_Tamika. I'm also on Facebook. I won't say my personal one it's really just my name, but my more public one is the Nuyorican by Tamika Lecheé Morales. I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a TikTok, and I think I have one video I just uploaded. So TikTok's the way to go. I just ain't got time for that yet. Who here can I tap into to be my TikTok social media? I'm not afraid to ask.
Exactly. Contact her if you are.
Yes,
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.